Hello, and welcome to Beyond the Plate with Carol, where we will explore food and a little beyond. So come along with me on this journey and see what we uncover. When you walk into Cotton in Manchester's Millyard District, you're stepping into more than a restaurant. You're stepping into a legacy. Chef Jeffrey Paige and his wife Peaches have spent decades building a place rooted in hospitality, local food, and craft. Jeffrey founded New Hampshire's first farm-to-restaurant connection in 1991. Long before farm to table was a trend. Together, they've earned national recognition, weathered the pandemic, supported local farmers and producers every step of the way, and even co-authored a book along the way. Today, we're diving into what it takes to sustain a restaurant for 25 years and what going beyond really means in hospitality, and how two people turned passion into a Manchester mainstay. Mm-hmm. Welcome, both of you. I'm so excited to have you.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
So before we dive in, and this is probably a question for you, I'm assuming, where can people find you at Cotton? Like where you're located, Insta, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, now it's kind of easy now, but go
75 Arm Street, down in the Millyard, by the river, in Manchester, New Hampshire.
There we go. And you're on Facebook and all those social things. I mean, it's probably, now you can just kind of Google things now. You just, I get a kick out of my mother still to this day will say www. Like, Mom, you don't need to do that anymore. Like,
my kids taught me that too.
Right? It's like so funny.
You don't have to do that.
Okay, we're going to dive right in. So, Jeffrey, I want to start at the very beginning. All right. You started washing dishes at 13 years old, kind of like me, 12,
that
13 years old, right? And by 21, you were executive chef.
Yes, at Levi Lowell's in Merrimack, New Hampshire.
I remember Levi Lowell's too. When I was reading that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is... So, it's not really a typical timeline. So how did all that happen? Let's talk about that.
When I was 13, I wanted a job. I wanted to get my own car. So
there's always
my best friend Bill and I, along with his father and my father, would take turns driving us over to Bedford, New Hampshire to Daffodils.
Oh, Daffodils.
Yeah. And it was a fun restaurant to work at as a young kid. And after that, I went to Levi Lowell's in Merrimack, New Hampshire. And the chef there thought I had a lot of potential. So he got me interested in cooking. And then from there, I went to the CIA. I'll toot my own horn a little bit. I was named one of the top 100 alumni for the decade of 88 to 90. So and it's amazing from there.
When did you know, like in those early years, you started at 13 dishwashing and then executive chef at 21. I mean, probably before that. Like, when did you know, oh my gosh, this is my passion. This is me. This is what I want to do.
Well, I guess the whole surroundings when I was working as a dishwasher. And then when I went over to Levi Lowell's, the chef over there, I started doing dishes with my same friend Bill at both restaurants. And he just saw some potential in me, and because I really liked it. I'm not sure how it all came about. It wasn't something that I sat around. I wanted to be a professional hockey player, but I was too short, So that was the end of that dream. But this one actually turned out pretty good, I really enjoy what I do. I still love what I do. And
so when you were doing dishes, you must have been always looking over your shoulder. I mean, it's kind of deja vuing when I did a podcast a little bit ago with Bobby Marcotte, the same thing. He started and he wanted these big Nike shoes, so he had to work. But when he started as dishwasher, he was always looking over his shoulder at what the cooks were doing.
Right. Yeah. And my friend Bill was we're really good friends, but we're opposites. And he ended up wanting to get into motion pictures, and he owns his own lighting company and works on all kinds of major, movies. And so he was looking at that, and he wasn't really looking around when we were working. He was just doing what he was doing. I was looking to see what everybody else was doing, and it just was fascinating to me. I really liked it.
Well, you must have. I mean, it was your life. Let's talk a little bit about Levi Lowell's. So you started there. So let's talk about that.
I started there again as a dishwasher. And then we had this really nice young couple, Brian and Sue Hennington, who was the chef and pastry chef. And Brian was the first one to take me under his wings. And he was from Dallas, Texas, worked in a lot of great restaurants. And, I just never looked back.
Under your leadership, it also won Best Restaurant North of Boston from Fortune Magazine and the Boston Globe.
Yeah.
Like you're like out there. I don't think a whole lot of people know all this about you.
No, it's not something that I ever really, I don't need to talk.
I mean, you were young when that happened.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was in my early 20s when I got a lot of recognition and stuff like that.
Wow. I know. When I was reading all this, I'm like, oh my goodness, I knew a little bit about it, but I didn't know all of that. I was like, wow, that's...
Well, what's nice about those for me, what I really appreciate is that those types of things are things that you don't realize that are going to happen. When you're in like a local type thing and you get written in a magazine, it's still very nice and prestigious. But when somebody calls you out of the blue and says, hi, I'm working for so-and-so, the editor at, a book company, we want you to write a book, that like kind of blows you away.
Right. So let's talk about that. When you got that phone call.
New York Times or the Boston Globe, all of a sudden wants to do a piece on your restaurant. It's like, how do you even know who we are? We're in Cow Hampshire. So, when I worked at Shaker Village, I was there for, I want to say probably 10 or 12 years. And I fell in love with the place because I was fortunate enough that several of the sisters, there was 3 of them that still lived there. They were all in their 90s. And I spent a lot of my free time talking to them, because I wanted to learn about their food ways.
Let's backtrack just a little bit. So why did you leave like a successful restaurant? You were in a successful restaurant and went to the Amish, like, how did that happen?
Well, I met this chef in the beginning, James Haller from the Blue Strawberry in Portsmouth, who was him and his 2 partners. One worked in theater. One of them was a waiter. And then my friend Jim was actually a failed writer. He worked for the Dick Cavett show and the Johnny Carson show, and then they let him go and told him he wasn't funny anymore. So he had like kind of a crisis. And so when the 3 of them met on the beach in Algonquin, coming from different parts of the country, they said, they met this guy, Mark, and he said, we should open up a restaurant downtown Portsmouth. And the only one was Mark who knew how to wait on tables, but Gene did theater, children's theater in New York City. And Jim was a writer for the Johnny Carson, the Dick Cavett show and stuff like that. So they all they lost the funding with the youth program. And then Jim was told he was no longer funny. So he lost this thing with the Johnny Carson show. So they met in Algonquin and they decided, let's do a restaurant. So they fast forward was the Blue Strawberry that they opened in downtown Portsmouth. And Jim was renowned for doing all these weird types of combinations in food because he wasn't a chef. But they said, I'm the art director for this youth thing, so I'm going to do the PR. And Mark was the only one that had any restaurant experience. So he's like, well, I'm going to be in charge of, doing the wine lists and the staffing. And then so my friend Jim was like, well, I guess I'm going to have to be the cook or the dishwasher because there's no other jobs available. And so he just learned to cook on his own in a restaurant.
So where do you come in now with this?
Well, inspired by Jim. Jim was my first real person that taught me.
So he started that and then...
Yep. And I went to the CIA after, and then I came back and worked with him again. I just wanted to go to the CIA because Jim was not a trained chef. He just did everything, learned on his own, and was fortunate enough to have this great restaurant.
I know. CIA is not... the CIA.
Right. Culinary Institute of America, Hyde Park, New York. So I got 2 different aspects. I got working with someone that had no experience, showing me what he did. And that's where I learned a lot of creativity from just not having a wide open envelope and canvas. I mean, you can do whatever you want, where when you're in culinary school, it was I would learn from French chefs and German chefs, and it was very regimented and very strict. Which is another good part of learning the side of the business as well.
Well, you know what I just watched last night? Burnt.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, you got to see it. It's an older film with Bradley Cooper.
Sure.
And you got to watch it. It's pretty good.
Nope, I haven't.
And it's all about, kitchens like that and how, it's pretty good. My brother was telling me about it and I'm like, oh, so I watched it last night.
When I did an internship over in France, Paris, since we're talking about that, they had the chefs didn't speak English. But they had sous chefs that spoke English. And I remember my first time there, I was doing something, rolling out something with my hands, and the chef came over and smashed my fingers. And the sous chef, he comes over and he's like, blah, 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 and I'm just like shrinking in height. And the girl comes over and tells me, so, Jeff, next time the chef said to blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's not what he said at all. He was screaming. And the chefs over in Europe at the time were the really tall, they used to call them like 10-gallon hats. So it was probably about 10 inches tall. And he was probably about 6 feet. So
oh, wow. So
it was awful. My couple of my fingers was swollen for like over a week and a half when he smashed them on the table.
Oh, boy. Did that teach you a lesson?
Well, it was, since I'm now 61, it was very common back in the day for chefs to be screamers. And it was not sometimes a comfortable environment to work in because you're under a lot of pressure anyways, and you got to bang out a couple hundred dinners in a couple hours. So I learned a lot from that. And I adapted because I realized that it's not a good way to teach people anymore. Not every way everybody does.
Right.
And you got to be patient and you got to be tolerant. And you have to accept in life that there are setbacks or failures, and you just got to learn from them.
Right. And sometimes you got to let them, create too. You know, when you have these people, sometimes you want to hear their input and them create because that's their passion too. You know, not just you got to do it.
And they're the future. So those are the ones that you need to, work with and nurture them along. And like you said, it's a shared collaborative because everybody helps each other, Right. And it doesn't work if it's not that way, whether it's, any type of business like this, service industry and working long hours, holidays, nights, weekends.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
We know it. Our weekends are Mondays and Tuesdays, right?
Yeah.
Monday. Sometimes Sundays, right? Yeah, for us, it depends. Peaches, let me bring you in here. You've been in the restaurant industry your entire career. And how did you end up at Cotton? Like, how did all that happen?
Oh, I don't even know. I was doing bookkeeping after I just had my third child, and I was doing bookkeeping for a brewery. And I went and called upon, and I was doing sales too, just to get more hours. And I was called upon Cotton, and I worked in the business my whole life, and they needed somebody. And so I said, you know what, let's try it again. And I started out hostessing, and then I, worked my way.
So how did Cotton come about? Where's that timeline? I mean, I know it's been 25 years.
Yep. So it was Rick Leffler, who was the founder of Shorty's, and then Brian Johnson, who was the CEO for the Common Man for a long time, and then also for Shorty's. We put together a 3-way partnership, and we wanted to do this. Unfortunately, at the time, Cafe Pavon's lease was coming up, and the landlord wasn't going to renew it. So we met with him because he wanted to get a restaurant in that space. And so we met with him, and I signed on to we were all three of us equal partners in the beginning. Peaches became a partner a little bit later on. And we just had it all set up the way we were going to do it. It was, in the beginning, it was really good because it was 3 different people with 3 different sets of strengths. Rick was really good with marketing and that type of stuff. Brian spent a long time with the Common Man, over 10, 12 years as the president and CEO for Alex Ray. And then myself in the kitchen. So it worked out well.
Lots of experience.
Not having to worry about overlapping as much. We all brought something different to the table to make it work. And then as we progressed, we bought Rick Leffler out, and then it was just Brian and I, and then Peaches had a share. And then
now that's how you two met, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. At Cotton.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So, that's really about it. Just,
Let's
and
talk
it's
about
weird how you fast forward and it's like going on. We started our 26th year.
Isn't it crazy? It goes by so fast.
It really does. Yeah, I never, every now and then I sit down and think about it and I'm kind of shocked.
Yeah, me at the Lowell Street, 1987. 30-something years, 38 years. Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
And there's not many of us around anymore.
True.
That can, sustain that type of.
It is true. Let's talk about the farm to table, because when you got involved in that, I mean, that was way before it was a thing.
Yeah. So that goes back to my days at Canterbury Shaker Village. And working there, I was very fortunate that there was 3 sisters, and there was a few up in Sabatay Lake, Maine. And I like history, so I was diving into a lot of the history about the people and who they were and all of the stuff that they were credited with. And being able to do the foods, they were the first ones in America to take plants, vegetables and all that, and then make the seeds, save the seeds, and then package the seeds and sell them from where they had a lot of villages at that time in different parts of the country, out towards like Cleveland, Ohio, Western Massachusetts, Sabbath Lake, Maine, Pleasantville, Kentucky.
Wow.
So they were all around, and they were raising their own self-sustainable, doing fruits and vegetables, raising their own cattle, making their own butter and their own cheeses, all that kind of stuff. So for me, it was just like really getting a chance I did spend some time in Paris, but here is where I live and where I grew up. So this is where I really wanted to learn about. And I had a chance to know those sisters from Sabbath Lake, Maine and Canterbury, New Hampshire, Shakers, and really pick their brain and learn a lot about all the stuff that they did and how they were able to be self-sustainable back then. And it's different, not always, but a lot of times you can taste the difference in the food when you get something that's coming right off of a farm and you just grab a piece of corn and husk it and start eating it. It tastes totally different than something that's been, grown somewhere else and takes its time to get here. And it's been in a cold storage for several months before they ship the rest of the corn because they harvest billions of ears of corn, And it's your friends and your neighbors that are the ones that you learn over the time that are actually doing this kind of stuff. And, I used to think, and I still do, but I used to think, cooking was a really tough profession to be in. But being a farmer is, God bless them. I mean, they love what they do and they're very passionate about it. And that's way harder than being a cook.
It is. It really is. So at Cotton, you use local farms and produce and all that stuff. So you must go visit. You visit.
Not as much anymore because the people that I worked with, some of them have actually, unfortunately, have, passed on and they're no longer here. And I'm not sure what happened to some of their property, along the way. But and the good thing about it too is that it's much more readily available now. A lot of the produce companies out of Boston and New Hampshire, the Fruit Center, they work with a lot of local farms. So it's so easy now compared to what it used to be.
Right. So Peaches, Cotton has been named Best Martinis in New Hampshire. And year after year, by New Hampshire Magazine and the Union Leader, you and Jeffrey even wrote Cotton cocktails together. What's your philosophy when it comes to creating cocktails? Like, bring me through.
Oh, well.
Daryl's favorite is that tea one with the tea. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, the chai tea.
Yes.
Yeah, with the tea bag in it. I don't know why I thought of that, but I just did. I was with a purveyor and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try this. And it just worked. So, and people do love it.
Yes, they do. He still gets it.
Yeah. I think the easy part and what Jeff also does is starting with good quality products. I'm lucky enough that everybody wants me to taste everything, all the liquor distributors. So I get to taste a lot. Sometimes I'm like, hey, that's enough. But I get to taste a lot and experiment. And I do it on my own. I sit at the bar on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning when I'm thinking about changing a menu and I have these different products. And then you just want to make sure you start with good quality products and you have a balanced product, right? So you might have a little bitter, a little sweet, some sour. That's what makes a margarita so classic. It's got the salt, the sweet, the sour. You just want to try to and have it or include enough of those different tastes that people go, wow, this is hitting all the spots.
Right. Because, you don't want it too sweet. You don't want it too sour. You don't want it too whatever. So, I mean, so how often do you do that? Like, is it like a quarterly or?
No. I do it twice a year. I'll do it in the spring and I'll do it in the fall. So I'll bring out some winter drinks in the fall winter drinks. And then in the spring, we'll switch it over to more bubblies and lighter fare and more juicy type drinks. In the winter, people like their dark bourbons but quite frankly now people just like what they like and
right, it's true.
Yeah, they like what they like.
But they like different too,
They do. It's amazing how being such a food restaurant that we get people who drink nothing that complements the food at all, like a glass of wine would. But we do we do sell a lot of martinis for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So for somebody who hasn't been to Cotton, Shame on them if you haven't. I mean, they've been around 25 years. Your menu's amazing, which we'll talk about also. Walk them through the front door and what they might expect.
Well, they come through the front door and they either expect me or my manager, Brian, or my former manager, Pam, who's now one of my hosts. She's doing some other things during the day. And they see the same people for a long time. You know, they come through, they see Dwayne at the bar, they see Scooter, Tim running food. We have a lot of staff and a lot of customers say that. They like, it feels like home here, because everybody knows my name. They get their favorite servers. They have their favorite table. And after 25 years, some of them was like, my parents got engaged here. And
isn't it crazy when you hear those stories?
And now I'm 21 or...
Right? Or you know the people when they first met and then they get married and they have a baby and now the baby's like, it's crazy.
It makes me feel really old.
Right? Well, we are getting old, Peaches, unfortunately.
But I mean, the business is for the, I still love what I do. I don't mind being there at night and talking to the customers and making sure everything's all right and seeing how they're doing. And it's sad to see some of them go, too. Some people say, this one passed or that one passed. Or they had their favorite table together and now they can't come in because, Peaches, I want to come in, but it brings back bad memories. Yeah, and they're sad. But then they always seem to come back after a while, and it's always great to see them. And I really do love the customers and our staff. I love my staff.
Yeah, you have a great staff.
They do so much for us.
You have a great staff. Well, you treat them well. I mean... when you have longevity, especially in the restaurant business, that's huge. You don't see that too often. My Manchester location is like that.
Yeah.
We're building on the other ones. Concord's getting there, but it's a constant.
In this business that people aren't being like, I'm going to be a waitress for the rest of my life. It's one of those things where but they always seem to like come back.
Oh, they do. They leave and then they're like, wait a minute,
can I work a couple shifts? And you're like, yeah. And you find room for them and they come back and, and it's really nice to see. And it's special for me to be able to help these people. They need an extra couple bucks. That's great. If I can help you out now that you're married and you have family and you have kids and all this stuff.
Right.
And it's rare that I have to hire a new person. Very rare. More during COVID because that's turned everything upside down.
Right.
But it's rare that I have to go. Sometimes I'm just like, hey, who wants to work this Saturday night? And one of my old servers will be like, I'll do it. And I'm like, great.
And it's fun when that happens.
Yeah, it is. Because they come in and everybody's like, they know everybody. Or the line cook's like, how do they know everybody? I haven't seen them in 2 years. I don't know this person. And they just jump right in like it was yesterday.
Right.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Special.
It's fun. It really is.
This episode is powered by Red Arrow Diner. All 4 locations, officially open around the clock. Swing by Manchester, Nashua, Concord, or Londonderry whenever hunger hits. From pancakes at 2 a.m. to fries and gravy for breakfast, we've got your cravings covered. Red Arrow, New Hampshire's favorite 24-hour diner tradition.
So let's go to the menu a little bit. So how often I don't see a whole lot of changes on the menu too much.
We don't.
But you have your staples and they work.
Well, we change it like twice a year, but to be very honest with you, it gets harder every year because when you do change things, people complain.
Of course they did. And
after...
Where's my buttermilk squash ravioli?
It's so hard. And you try to tell them that, unfortunately, that's not a summer type dish. It'll be back in the fall, So that's what's kind of happened over the years. And we're just as busy, we get busier every year, which we were very lucky, other than like Peaches said in COVID. But we've been growing and, the majority of the people are overwhelmingly, come for what they come for. And, it'd be like going to McDonald's and saying, what do you mean you don't have a Big Mac anymore? We put on the Slim Mac for the healthy people.
Geez, yeah.
It's hard sometimes. But what we do is we do additions to the menu every night, like Peaches said, with some of her specialty cocktails or drinks or wine. And then with some food, usually do like a soup, a salad, an appetizer, an entree or two, and a lot of times a dessert. But the majority of the people that come, they know why they're coming. They're either taking friends or they say, I'm coming because I want the buttermilk fried chicken.
I love that. I don't get it every time, but I do get it. It's so good. Yeah. Everything is.
And it's just so hard. And the menu can only be so big because the kitchen is, when we bought the restaurant was, set up as an Italian restaurant. So they didn't have a real grill station. They had a lot of saute burners. So we had to shrink some of that and add other stuff. And we get to a point where we just can't take any more people on certain nights. You know, we max out.
Right.
And the last thing we want to do is get to that point where we've been fortunate over the years that both of us agree that we want to take care of our customers and make sure when they leave, they're happy. I don't want to get there and say, oh, yeah, we did 280 tonight and it was a shit show and we made a lot of money.
Right.
You know, that doesn't make me happy.
Exactly.
You know?
And that's why people keep coming back and coming back. And
we'll let people know when they come in. They'll say, hey, when is this going to come back? And it said, well, you know, it'll be back in the late spring, you know, for summer and fall.
There you go.
Yeah, you know. And sometimes we'll do things. People will call in and ask us, and we'll run. Todd, my assistant, will do a special because we know certain people want to come in, and we'll call them and tell them, you know, let them know, text them.
Yeah, that's what it's about, making the customer happy. And, you know, to a point, you know, sometimes you can't do everything, but they ask for such crazy things.
No, you definitely do your best because, I mean, that's what we're in. You understand just as well as we do. We're in the hospitality business. We're there to take care of people and provide a service that they're going to enjoy. So we're not doing things just to make people angry.
Right. You better not ever take the bang bang shrimp off.
No, see, that's another one,
shrimp.
you know?
Popcorn shrimp.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It's the same thing.
Shrimp.
It's a Thai chili.
Oh, yeah. Popcorn shrimp. Yeah. It comes in the popcorn box, which that's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Like, how did that, I mean, what made you decide to, because you called it popcorn shrimp? I mean, what made you decide? That is just the coolest. I think that is just the coolest, like, thing ever. I love it that it comes out like that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's funny you bring that up because you'll have sometimes, not often, but we'll have customers come in with a server will come in and say, hey, Jeff, just so you know, table 12 is pretty upset about the popcorn shrimp because you're wasting a tree to put it in a box when it's not necessary. And, you know, and it's like, I kind of get it, you know.
Come on.
I know, but it's a little artistic thing that.
It's so cool.
And sometimes I'm the same way, though. If you get something and it's changed, even if nothing's changed other than I go into the restaurant and it's no longer presented the same way, the first thing I'm going to look at that and say, Peach, this isn't how we normally get this when we come here, is it? You know?
I know.
Or other customers are going to say it.
I hear you.
Because consistency, people remember if they come to my restaurant once a year or once a month, when they order what they want, they're coming for a reason. You know, you just don't sit there and, honey, where do you want to go tonight? Burger King or the Bedford Village Inn or Cotton? Let's go to Burger King. You have to have it in your head where you want to eat.
Exactly.
So when they do that, I know they're coming because they're expecting a certain expectations to be met, whether it be through the front of the house or the back of the house. But we have to do that and make sure we, you know, live up to our expectations as well as their expectations.
Right. Another menu item that never seems to go, and I think we just have to bring it up, is the meatloaf. I mean, you know, when you think of meatloaf, I know growing up, I was like, meatloaf? Like, you know, but your meatloaf is like next level.
Well, it was based on my
so
mom's. Because I loved it when I was a kid. I loved meatloaf.
Ours at the diner's my grandmother, so yeah.
And we use PT Farms up in New Hampshire. And that we get our beef from, ground pork and ground beef. And I've been supporting them since I was at Shaker Village.
It's amazing. It's just so good.
Local stuff, you know, it's definitely on certain things. You can definitely tell that it's not,
for sure.
You know, it's done fresh every time we order it. And it's not something where you know, just run down a market basket and you don't know what you're really getting. You know?
Right.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So Peaches walked us through the front door. Walk us through your menu and what people, if there are people that may not have been for a long time and are listening to this, and what is on your menu?
Well, it's a little varied. We do use Brant beef, which is in Southern California. We were one of the first ones to bring that into New Hampshire, and we've been using it for a long time. And it's another one of those ones where you sit down and you try a flat iron steak, or you try a ribeye, and they're all very similar, but they're not the same, you know, because it's where they're raised, what breed they are. So we kind of become known for that. We sell certain things that people come for. It's not just because of me. It's kind of because of me, because of the products that I want to work with, but also you have your own touches to that stuff, because tons and tons of people do fried chicken. You know, we just do it the way I like doing it.
Right.
And I started doing that when I was at Canterbury Shaker Village back in the late 80s. And it's something that I didn't do for a while. And then I brought it on the menu. And then, to be honest, a couple of the cooks cursed me because it's a tough station to work on, because you sell a lot of it.
Yeah.
But people, like I said, they come for certain things,
Jambalaya.
Yeah, if you want a certain dish. Like I learned that when I was in New Orleans. I got to job shadow with Paul Prudhomme. And what's interesting about that is back in the day, I'm not sure if it's kind of the same, but it's not, for us, it's not like it used to be as far as you could just call somebody up and say, like for you, for example, say, Carol, I'm be honest, people are very honest. They'll say, I'm thinking about, I want to try and do a diner. And I
tell them they're nuts.
Well, I know we do. But I'm saying like somebody would call you and you would say, could I come in and job shadow and work and see how this whole process works?
I tell them to go work a shift.
Learn. Yeah. And that's how we got people over the years. People would say, I'm thinking about going to culinary school, and I've had some go and come back. And others, it's good to learn because some people will look, you know what? I had no clue. I cook at home. My wife and kids love it, but I have no business getting into the restaurant business.
Right. I get a kick out of it. It's like their dream. And
a lot of people it is. They don't realize it's their unknown nightmare when they get into that. Because I think it's say like that to some people. I say, that'd be like me coming to you because I like Mercedes, that I want to learn to be a car salesman. You would say, Jeff, believe me, you have no idea what's involved in this position,
So funny.
And a lot of people just think restaurants are simple and easy. How hard can it be? I cook steaks at home all the time. I make the kids hamburgers. It's not hard. But once you get in there and you realize there's a lot more to it,
Right. Now, you cook for some pretty famous people.
Yeah, I've been fortunate over the years.
Definitely. We have to talk about Julia Child. I mean, she
was a wonderful person.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
I cooked for her several times. So the first time I met her was this guy, Ken and Arrow, and they ran a farm in the Litchfield, New Hampshire. And Ken ran a side that was all high-end type stuff for restaurants. And this is going back to the mid to late 80s. And then Arrow ran the part where they raised vegetables and some fruits they would send down to Lowell, to one of the big soup kitchens in that area. And so when I first met Ken, because I was looking to see, I drove by there one day and I saw this cool farm. So he started growing for me at Levi Lowell's. And Arrow got at the time, and Ken knew someone that knew Julia Childs. So they invited her up to the farm to check it out because it was one of the earlier farms back in the early mid-'80s that was doing this in New Hampshire, even in New England, where he was growing all this stuff that was specifically, it was 50-50. Half of it was going to the food banks in Massachusetts, and the other half was going to Jasper White, Gordon Hammersley, Lydia Shire.
Wow.
And it was Ness and Keg. Keg Farms.
They had this young kid, Peaches Paige. So, yeah, that was their only customer from New Hampshire at the time. Yep.
That is really cool. So they invited Julia Child.
Yep. And then they invited me to cook for her.
I mean, you you must have been freaking out.
I was nervous, but it was easy because I had to do a whole meal based on everything from the farm.
Okay.
So that day was, pretty much vegetarian and different stuff. We did a chilled minted strawberry yogurt soup. I still remember that. I don't remember what the salad was, but we did do some some grilled chicken that was not from them, but it was also local raised product. Mm-hmm. But it was mostly all the vegetables, just showcasing.
Was she like right with you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's how I first met her. And the crazy thing about some people that you just never really know what's going to happen in life is, so when I was there, she came to the restaurant, Levi Lowell's, and then she had told me, I said, I'm leaving and I'm going up to Canterbury Shaker Village. And we just started talking and stuff like that. And she came up to Canterbury Shaker Village. She said she would. I didn't think she really would.
Right. They say it, but then they never do.
People are so busy.
Right.
She came up and got me on Good Morning America. And that was great because I did a book for Shaker Village. And it was I was picked up by Random House. So we sold over 300,000 copies. So that was a lot of fun. And I got to travel all over the country. And I went to all the different Shaker Villages. I had this wonderful woman who was my chauffeur. And it was really funny because when we went to Cleveland, she's like, I don't even know where to take you. I've never had anybody like in his early 20s.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I'm taking you to this place for lunch called Hooters.
Oh, my
And I had no idea.
You didn't know what Hooters was?
I had no clue.
Oh, come on.
I swear to God. This was back in the 80s, the early 80s. I had no idea. It was probably like 84, 85. And so she took me there. And she was I wouldn't say a senior citizen, but she was probably in her 60s. So I was thinking like, she's uncomfortable because what do I do with this like 24-year-old kid, So she's like, I know the place. I'm going to take you to Hooters. And I'm like, all right. I got to meet a lot of good people over the years and going to these different places. And it's just been a really good, rewarding, profession to be in. I've got a lot of really good friends in restaurants all over the country still that, if you ever need someone to call, that's what I like about it. Because certain times businesses, people don't want to support each other, and I get that. But at the same time, it's better when you all work together as a team. If instead of there's just one or two restaurants buying local, it's better for the whole state if you can get 15 or 20 restaurants doing it.
Yeah.
And it's not always possible because it does cost more money because you're buying from a small local vendor who's growing it themselves. And there's not a lot of people on the farm, like if you're going out west, California. But all I ever asked is anybody that when I was talking to them about is just do support, local on whatever level you're comfortable with, whatever you can afford to do, whether if it's just buying local dairy from Hatchland Dairy up north, or if it's buying local eggs, then thank you so much.
Exactly.
You're doing something to try and make a positive addition to the community and the environment.
What do you think New Hampshire gets right when it comes to hospitality? What is special about the restaurant community? Well, actually, you just kind of answered it, actually, working together. And
Yeah.
Manchester has grown so much in the way people work together and, show up for each other, especially look at the bonfire when mint, and you have these unfortunate things that happen in restaurants. It's really nice. Yeah, it's really nice. And you kind of see that growing more every day, especially with the downtown.
Right. I mean, and I think, the past 3-4 years, how Manchester has evolved.
Right.
I mean, now you can just went out last night and park on Elm Street. It's hard to find a parking space, which is fine. I'm not complaining about that. I'm saying that in a good way.
Yeah.
People are out walking around, hustle and bustle in the restaurants.
It's nice to see. It's like the old Thursday nights downtown.
Yes, remember?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Remember going to Bon-Tons on Saturdays, taking the bus? And Moros. Remember Moros?
Yeah, remember I got my
first
buy our Converse at Lynch's. Lynch's, remember? And my dad brought me for my first pair of
Oh, I remember your dad.
Levi's.
That's so funny. I remember Moros. I remember buying my Converse there. But you know what I remember most about Moros is the smell when you walked in. It was like this.
Yeah,
it was like this weird smell. It was just some Moros,
rubbery, I
right?
think. Yeah. Well, they sold those little rubber red balls, and we would buy them to play. I don't know what we were playing. Bombardment, because we had 7 kids in our family. We had to get the neighborhood together. It was easy, Had the park right behind us. You're like, okay, let's get some rubber balls and throw them at each other. Try to kill each other.
Right?
Those are the days.
They were. They definitely were. I mean, it was so fun. I remember taking the bus. And remember when you sit on the bus and then you'd click the thing when you wanted to get off? I mean, you say that to the kids today, they're like, what? You took a what? A bus. And we had one right around the corner from our house, right on Lowell. And
you even walk barefoot places.
Right? And you could.
Yeah. Without stepping on a needle.
Let's just talk a little bit about when you published Cotton Cocktails, you decided to donate a portion of the proceeds to Cafe Lauren at Girls Inc. Tell me about that decision and why Girls Inc. is so important.
Well, Jeff had done his book, and I'm not sure who you donated some praise, his cookbook, because we have 2. He has his cookbook, and then I did my cocktail book. And, I'm a girl. I see what these girls go through. I see how we struggle, with confidence and everything. People think, oh, no, you're strong. But deep down inside, a lot of girls are like, no, I'm not. So it's really great. It's a really great organization for the girls. So that's why.
I love it. I mean, it's important to give back. Some people, they don't understand that sometimes, but it's what, it's all about being part of the community.
Yeah.
And
Oh, you did yours to the Kids Cafe.
Kids Cafe.
That's what you did. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard because like Peaches said, we decided to pick things that are personal to us because every day you get, every week you get multiple emails, texts, phone calls, and, you'd love to be able to support everybody.
Right, and you can't.
But we each personally pick things that are personal to us.
Yeah.
And like she said, with the girls and just like with the kids, there's nothing worse than that, an innocent child not being able to have food.
It's terrible.
And I'd love to be able to give it to something else, but to me, that's more important to me to make sure that they get at least a half decent, at the bare minimum, a half decent childhood,
right,
and not having to worry about the things they shouldn't have to worry about at that age.
Right.
So that's why we pick a few things that are near and dear to both of us.
Love it. Love it. So what have we missed about Cotton that we want people to know? Talked about the cocktails. We talked about the menu.
I'm not saying
we signed a new lease. We should be here at least another 9 years. So
there you go.
I'm ready.
Good. That's awesome.
Yeah. I would just like to take the opportunity just to thank everybody. I mean, all of our restaurant peers over the years and all of our customers and local purveyors have all been wonderful people to work with. And we're looking forward
especially our employees.
Exactly. Everybody. We're looking to, we have about 9 years left on our 10-year extension. So we're looking forward to that and making new memories and inviting new customers to come in and taking care of our old regulars.
I love it. We're going to do a little lightning round. This is just kind of fun. Jeffrey, what is your favorite ingredient to cook with right now?
Right now, I would say butter. Can't live without real butter.
It's my husband.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You should see these stupid potatoes he makes sometimes. They're pumped to something or other. I don't know. They're like round discs, like when he cuts them or whatever. And then they just sit in butter.
Yeah.
Like, oh my, and they're delicious. No wonder they're delicious. Right. Like, seriously?
There's like all types of foods and wines and stuff. They're all different and all butters are different.
They are. Oh, he got the special butter flown in from somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Paris?
Butter's good.
I don't know. Like came in this wicker thing. I'm like, what is this? Like, are you kidding me? Oh my God. Peaches, what's your favorite cocktail to make right now?
Oh, well, my favorite is tequila. But
a lot of people answer that. A lot of people answer tequila. Like sipping tequila or a margarita tequila?
I think a margarita is one of the best things ever. And then the good old Cosmo. I don't know what it is, but it all starts with that's one spirit you want to use, good, and using a little bit of triple sec or Cointreau to offset the sting of the spirit, and then lemon, lime.
Sour mix or lime juice?
Lime juice.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you look at any classic cocktails, the daiquiri, the sidecar, the margarita, the mojito, they all start with one spirit like rum and sour mix. Honest to God.
Sure.
When you think of all the classic cocktails, the base is always lemon, lime, a little, you might add coconut to it, or so this is what we do. We take those basic classic cocktails to kind of put a twist on them. And Jeff does the same with some food.
Right.
Because those, they're true.
Yep. True. Jeff, what is the most underrated local ingredient in New Hampshire?
Ingredient. I'm going to kind of weasel out on this and say that we need to get more restaurants supporting local ingredients.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And on whatever level you can afford to do it, buying local from local farms, get out there and meet them, talk to them, and find out if they're having distributors, who they distribute through. And just do whatever you can on your own level to support local farmers.
Perfect. Peaches, most unusual cocktail request you've ever gotten?
Oh, I don't remember. It has to be something that's old, like somebody who came in 20 years ago and was 80 who said, I would like some creme de menthe with this or something like that.
Or Tom Collins.
What is it? The Brandy
Alexander?
Maybe.
Remember, do they still do Black Russians? My mother used to drink those.
They must. We don't really do. I mean, for us, mostly people drink off the cocktail menu, unless they have their regular, Jack and Coke or, Captain and Coke or whatever it is, that they've been drinking for 40, 50 years. Yeah. Yeah.
For both of you, I love this question. What is your favorite table in your own restaurant? Do you have a favorite table? Like, do you guys ever do that?
We've never, ever together eaten at our own restaurant, ever. I've eaten with my kids there, and not often, maybe 5 times over the 25 years I've eaten with the kids there, but not with Jeff. And I don't think you've ever eaten at your restaurant.
Oh my. Okay. So what would be your favorite table at the restaurant?
I like table 31.
Okay.
It's in the corner.
Whereabouts is that?
It's in the bar, in the corner under the clock. So you sit back.
When you first go into the bar, to the right or to the left in the corner?
Left.
To left out in the corner.
That chimes clock. Right underneath that is a table. It's so you can, both people can sit next to each other look out and see everything.
That's the best.
Yeah.
That is the best. That is the best. What is the best compliment you can receive from a guest, either of you?
I guess for me, it's really simple. Just seeing repeat customers.
That's
the best compliment you can get. Because she sees a lot more than I do. And people know me just because I have my uniform. But, you walk out there and, some people too will be like, are you the chef? Yes. Said everything's wonderful. And that's the nicest part about it. And like Peaches mentioned earlier, you will talk to people that'll tell you like, oh, we've been coming here since my grandparents took us here. And now, it was their favorite restaurant. And now their grandkids are coming to the restaurant. And that's the thing that I really appreciate,
Love it.
So
I love it. When you look at everything that you built over the past 25 years at Cotton, and Jeffrey, you're 40 plus, is that my brother?
Yeah.
40 plus years in this industry. I mean, we probably already have kind of answered this. What are you most proud of?
I think, consistency, because if it wasn't for the consistency, I wouldn't be here.
And your help.
And we're fortunate.
Staff.
I think that also too. And the other part is being able to, once you get to that point, which we're very fortunate, and yourself, we can do what we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to work for somebody anymore that says you have a budget and you can't afford to buy the organic asparagus. You need to buy the bulk stuff because it's $10 cheaper a case. I've been very fortunate that I haven't had to do that all these years because I was spoiled working at Shaker Village. When you have work in there all those years, when the farmers and the gardeners would come in and they would bring in things that I didn't even know about because I was a young kid at that point. But you start to appreciate that. You taste that. You say, oh my God, there's nothing like a pear, being grown off a tree in Canterbury, New Hampshire, than going to get a pear grown in somewhere else and they put it in dry storage half a winter.
Right. So different. We just went to Italy, a couple months, 3 months ago or whatever, and went to my nieces in Lucca. Their backyard is like, you should see their backyard. It's a farm. I mean, they grow, and the little grandnephews are grabbing my hand. We're walking and they'll just stop and whip off a great tomato, and they chomp it, and an apple, and then when we were there, persimmon, just right off the tree, like so good. Like I don't even think I've ever had a persimmon. I mean, I wouldn't have it around here because they're probably not good. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's just such a different experience, eating like that, local and
and especially
fresh and
like you said, being raised like that, where your neighbors are like that.
Yeah,
you go to certain countries like that where that's how it is. They're growing a lot of their own
Unbelievable.
stuff.
These 3 kids, my 3 they're like out in the fields with their muckers and their skivvies.
Nice.
Like every day. Like, after
you could be sitting there saying, well, we're going to have for dinner. Right. Oh, I'm going to make a pie. So can you 2 kids run out to grab mom a bunch of apples? And it's something that they don't really appreciate just yet because they haven't had the opportunity to see what other parts of the world and how they live.
Exactly.
But when they get experienced and exposed to that, they're going to be like, oh my God, these apples are not very good.
Right.
Not what my mom used to raise.
Exactly. Yeah. And they just got chickens, so they're all into that right now. And it's like,
they just love running around trying to catch them.
Funny. So funny. Well, thank you both so much for coming on. This was great.
Yeah, thank you so much for thinking of
having us.
This was fun.
Good. I'm glad. Is there anything else you want to end with? Or are we?
No, just a thank you to everybody that's helped us along the way and supported us. And we look forward to many more years.
Love it.
At least 9.
Yeah. There you go. So get on over to Cotton. If you haven't been, like I said, shame on you, but, get in there.
Thank you.